Okay. Outfit on him at 98 grand. Let's get him in here. Let's get him in.
A push bar is this piece on the front of a vehicle which is supposed to add some extra protection in case of a collision, and they are commonly used to push disabled vehicles off the roadway. There's many different types and styles, like this one that's commonly used for road service vehicles and on tow truck. They even have a lot of options like wraparounds, which are these pieces left and right that give some extra protection to the lights and fenders, and police push bars often have lights, sirens, and other stuff integrated into them. Sometimes people put them on the rear to protect themselves if they live in areas where there's a lot of bumper-to-bumper traffic and they are likely to get rear-ended. Stuff like this offers little to no protection. They're made of really thin materials, they bend super easy. Because of the way they're mounted, if they ever get in a collision, they end up bending into the vehicle and damaging your grille, your radiator, all sorts of stuff that might have not been damaged if you were to just have the actual bumper take that impact. They do nothing more than look pretty. The only surefire way to get a quality push bumper that is indestructible is to simply add Nokia phones to it. That is the only thing in the universe that has no natural enemies. So starting off, we have a nice bird's eye view of a vehicle that was involved in a collision. It is now disabled and it's currently blocking that turn lane there, so it needs to be removed from the roadway. To use a push bar, you can't just ram into things as hard as you can. You have to approach them slowly, make contact, and then push. Good job on that cop. This is one of my dash cam videos. I have personally used my push bar dozens and dozens of times in many different situations. This is somebody who was struggling to get up a hill. It was one of the blizzard days and I just gave them a little push, got them up the hill, and they were able to continue on their way. This is another example. It was a rear-wheel drive Chevy truck that was unable to get up a hill, and I was able to push it all the way up a hill into his apartment complex lot and even into a parking space for him. This was a traffic accident where a vehicle was disabled blocking an exit ramp from a highway, so a cop pushed it forward out of the way to clear up traffic, and a tow truck was able to retrieve it later. Bridges get very icy, so this vehicle was in a dangerous spot to be disabled, so the cop pushed it off the bridge and into a safer location. Exit ramps are a common spot where people stall out, so this cop was able to push the vehicle off the ramp around the corner and into a parking lot where it could sit and wait for a tow truck, and it had another emergency vehicle providing cover. This car had gotten into an accident, slid out, and was disabled, blocking a lane of traffic, so the trooper pushed it out of the way. This car was stuck at the end of an exit ramp, very dangerous spot to be, people coming around that corner, so this trooper pushed it farther up into an area with a shoulder. This is not a cop, it's a freeway incident response safety team, the acronym FIRST. There's always a priority on vehicles that are stuck blocking a lane of traffic, so they like to move them out of the way as quickly as possible. This vehicle was also broken down in a lane, so as you can see, the cop pushes the vehicle forward, but what they often do is they push it, they accelerate, and then they slow down, so the vehicle has some momentum to roll. They aren't maintaining constant contact with the vehicle. They also have the driver in the vehicle to steer it onto the shoulder. Another breakdown in a lane, entirely all too common. So this cop pushes it forward and they end up onto the next area where there's an open shoulder to sit. This vehicle ends up getting picked up by a tow truck later. This was another vehicle that was disabled in traffic. One trooper went out to stop traffic and the other one pushed it onto the shoulder, but notice how they had the driver sitting inside the vehicle to steer it onto the shoulder, so they had more control over where it went. Another breakdown where a cop is able to push it into a parking lot and in a safer location for a tow truck to come retrieve it. Now this vehicle looks like the battery's dying, the hazards aren't very bright, and it's sitting in a lane of traffic. The cop is able to push it through again, speeding up and then slowing down, not maintaining constant contact, and it stops safely on the shoulder where a tow truck comes later to retrieve it. The inside lane of traffic is an especially dangerous place to be due to the fact that there's often little to no shoulder, and that's also the fast lane. So anytime they can, the police like to move the vehicle to the outside shoulder, but they often have to wait for a gap in traffic to do so. Right behind it, there's multiple semis and additional vehicles. Sometimes though, they get out and actually just use brute force. I'm not sure why they didn't use the push bar on this one, but you can see a Good Samaritan stops and helps push it to the side out of that lane. Another one blocking an entrance ramp. This is going to be a priority because they always want to make sure traffic is flowing, not creating backups and additional secondary accidents. This vehicle and that semi up there collided, sending it into a third vehicle, and this trooper is pushing it off onto that shoulder there so they can ultimately get everything clear of that lane of traffic. Sometimes if a vehicle is still able to drive itself, the troopers will make sure all the traffic is stopped and get that vehicle safely onto that outside shoulder. They don't always have to push it if the vehicle can still move under its own power, but sometimes the vehicles are in places where they are not able to safely cross all those lanes on their own and they need that trooper's assistance. It's actually pretty dangerous to enter a lane of traffic, so this trooper is able to make sure that they get back on their way safely. Special thanks to all the first responders out there, police, firefighters, medics, tow truck drivers, everybody else that I haven't mentioned. You know who you are. And if you like this video, give it a like and leave a comment if you have any thoughts.